You are about to hear Samurai by Martin Caiden, narrated by Kevin Waits. Copyright 2019, BN Publishing, online at bnpublishing.com. This book is dedicated to all those fighter pilots with whom I fought, and fought against, who will never come home. High flight! Oh, I have slipped the early bonds of earth, and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed, and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 100 things you have not dreamed of, wheeled and soared and swung, high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long, delirious, burning blue. I've topped the wind-swept heights with ease, grace, where never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with silent lifting mind I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God. Pilot Officer John G. McGee, Jr., American flyer with the Royal Canadian Air Force, died in aerial combat on December 11th, 1941. Introduction. During World War II, and in the years immediately following, the enemy was the enemy. They were either faceless members of evil empires or totalitarian caricatures whose lack of humanity removed them from the interests of decent men. Like plague-infested rats, our only interest in them was their immediate eradication. After the end of World War II, and when it could be reviewed at leisure, with the passions of battle dimmed, deeper considerations presented themselves. Certain thoughtful people asked about the motivations and the humanities of our enemies. Were these members of the Japanese, German, and Italian armies and navies people much like ourselves who had only through accident of birth become attached to military units that were opposed to ours? If we thought about and knew our adversaries, would we be strengthened in opposing them? Obviously, some of these enemies are unbelievably accomplished warriors. Without the Guderians, Skorenzis, Rudels, Adolf Gallens, and Werner von Braun, Hitler would have remained a pustule of pathological hatred, raving impotently in some Munich beer hall's cellar. And without the Yamamotos, Hamas, Yamashitas, Gendas, Ozawas, and Saburo Sakis, Tojo would have remained a minor government functionary. Japanese fighter ace Saburo Sakai was one of the first members of the enemy armed forces whose story was told to the general public. Samurai, originally published in 1957, had such an enthusiastic reception that it resulted in the creation of a subgenre of popular biographies of our nation's enemies that endures to this day. Samurai showed for the first time to a general audience what kind of men they, their fathers, and now today, their grandfathers fought. Samurai reveals Saki to be more than a totally dedicated and highly trained fighting machine who fought bravely for his country. As Saki's story unfolds, a human person emerges, and with it the tragedy of knowing that despite his personal honor and nobility, he was fighting for an unjust cause. It is fortunate for us, the United States, that the Japanese Naval Air Force's standards were so impossibly high that very few individuals qualified as pre-war pilots. When this small group of exquisitely trained and motivated men became casualties of war, a list that came to include the grievously wounded Saki himself, the Japanese military found itself critically short of competent pilots. As a result, it was ultimately reduced to throwing untrained aerial cannon fodder in the form of kamikaze against the increasingly overwhelming might of the United States. Samurai follows Saki's career after the war and his struggle to build a new life for himself and his family at the same time that his country was attempting to rebuild itself. Had the Allies been combatant with a horde of faceless, mindless automatons, World War II would have ended much
Sample complete. Ready to continue?